start, and it's this man, isn't it? Erik ten Hag, his first game in charge of Man United. He would have hoped to get off to a winning start. Didn't actually turn out that way, did it?
No, it was a nightmare start for him. First half, Brighton absolutely taught them a lesson tactically, technically, physicality, everything. It was just an absolute nightmare for Ten Hag.
We expected things to change maybe under Erik ten Hag. Did you notice any noticeable changes?
I wanted to see changes, but again, I think they started first 5-10 minutes quite positively, but then I felt the pressure and they crumbled them back and went to default mode, and we saw a lot of the same issues last season creep into the game at the weekend.
Let's have a look at the team that Erik ten Hag selected. It did raise a few eyebrows, didn't it? David De Gea in goal, that was no surprise. What about the back four? Lisandro Martinez, the new boy, he made his debut alongside Harry Maguire, and Luke Shaw got the nod over Malacia. In midfield, it was a strange formation, really, wasn't it? Fred as the single pivot, McTominay and Bruno Fernandes either side of him. Further forward, Sancho on the right, Rashford on the left, and this was the big surprise, wasn't it? Christian Eriksen in that false nine position.
It was for me, because when Eriksen came to Brentford last season, I thought he was better in deeper areas where he's facing forward, dictating play, being comfortable. For me, I was surprised because it's not his game, with his back to play, that's not his strength. I could maybe see why, getting the width and the pace with Rashford and Sancho, but it just did not work, Matt.
Was Erik ten Hag a little bit unlucky because through pre-season, Anthony Martial's been playing in that position, and of course he picked up an injury and couldn't play. And Cristiano Ronaldo missed a large part of pre-season, only played 45 minutes, so it was difficult to select him from the start, wasn't it?
No, well, again, you're dealt with a tough hand, really. It's still really early for Ten Hag, but I think he's dealt with I don't think he's been helped from the board. The players and the recruitment hasn't helped him, and I think it was just really, really tough for him.
What about the opposition and Graham Potter's team selection? He always raises a few eyebrows with his team because you're never quite sure how they're going to line up. Well, Sanchez was in goal. I guess it's a familiar back three with Veltman, Dunk and Webster in those positions. And then further forward, well, he played a three-man midfield, didn't he? Pascal Gross, McAllister and Caicedo, who I thought on the day was absolutely excellent. Further forward, Solly March on the right, Trossard on the left, Adam Lallana in that number 10 position. Just behind, I thought the star of the show, led the line superbly, former Man United man, Danny Welbeck, Karen.
I thought it was outstanding, Welbeck, but I thought the performance, in particular the first half from Brighton, was outstanding. There was a game plan, a clear game plan. They stuck to it and executed it, and was really, really good performance.
Yeah, you can see the teams there. Where do you think this game was won and lost?
I think I'll go back to the game plan. I think Manchester United clearly were going to press front-footed, and they just skipped that link Brighton, and that's why you said Welbeck was so key. He was strong, he was physical, but made some really intelligent runs, and everyone else linked off him, and I thought they were brilliant. But as you mentioned, Caicedo, what a player. Everyone was worried about Bissouma going, but they let him go because they know they got him.
Yeah, he was all over the pitch, wasn't he? Let's have a look at Man United then in possession of the ball, Karen, and talk us through it right from the off.
Well, I thought there was big issues from the get-go. You mentioned the single pivot. Now, in the single pivot, I think it's frozen there, was Fred throughout the game, and I thought he really, really struggled. Man United's build-up was really, really poor, and he needed help around them.
Do you know, I'm looking at this and thinking they weren't particularly positive, Man United, in their passing. There was a lot of passing, wasn't there, from along the back and backwards, rather than playing forwards. If I just take this back very slightly, Diego Dallo's picked this ball up and he's looking forward. I think he's got options forward. He's got this one to Jadon Sancho. It's a simple pass, it's a 10-yard pass. Jadon Sancho then 1v1 against the defender. Go and get at him. Decided against that. There's also another option he's got. Christian Eriksen making this run now. Could he not play that ball over the top? I thought there was quite a bit of negativity, really, about the way Man United played the game. Rather than being positive in possession, looking forward, they kept going back and taking the easy option.
I don't know whether, though, Matt, is that because of Ten Hag and control? You know, the kind of the Dutch, the Ajax way, it's all very much controlled. And you even saw that with Pep Guardiola yesterday, actually, in Manchester City, control. But it just didn't work. And referencing the single pivot, and this is where it is.
So what would you like to see then, rather than... I mean,
so
if you're looking at that, he can't even get the ball.
No, he can't. So they wanted Fred, he's the single one, but I felt he needed a bit more help. I felt if they'd have dropped another midfielder here, it would have caused Brighton a little bit of a problem, because then they come, right, we've got to get tight. If he gets tight, then you've got a big diagonal ball, and the best teams have that, or it gives them different options. If he doesn't, as you see it play on, he eventually does get it, Fred, but he can play then sidewards. So when he does it, it's good. Here, he would have had that player next to him there.
Let me just take that back a fraction from Fred, because you talk about a midfield player and you talk about their body position and your awareness of what's around you. When Fred's making that option for Harry Maguire, he surely has to know what's around him. He picks this ball up and he isn't sure who's close, who's tight to him, whether he's got space, whether he's got time. He's actually got 10 yards of space. That's how much time he's got on the ball. He could turn and look to play forward. Talking about Man United looking to try and be positive. Instead, as you quite rightly say, he's not on the half turn, and his first touch takes him backwards, which gives Brighton the opportunity to close him down, which they do.
Yeah, and I think you have to remember, I feel like we're being super critical on the first game of the season for Man United, but Fred is not a Paul Scholes.
No.
Fred is a breaker up of the play, and he reads that very, very well. Hence why I would like to send someone next to him just to give him that additional support. And as the game went on, it did happen, but it was far too late.
I think there was evidence in this game why he's been so desperate to get Frankie de Jong into the building, isn't there?
Well, yeah, and here again, you just see it now. He's on his own. They want to build up Man United, but the reality is we always speak about numbers. You know, Brighton are 4v4 against you, and when you build up, you have to have one player overloaded.
Was this a game plan, though, from Graham Potter? Squeezing forward, because he's seen Man United in pre-season and the way that they play, and they want to play out from the back. Is this him saying, they're going to try and play? We've got to be ready for that, and as soon as they play short, that's our trigger to go.
I absolutely, and especially with this, all the socials coming out United saying they were going to press, and I think last year we saw how they didn't press. That would have been a theme, and I think that's why they did it. And Graham Potter went into it. Hey, if they do play out, we are good. We protect the inside, which they did, and we hunt and we press in numbers, and I think as well. I hate to say it again, but they're not good enough to play out. Hence why I was saying, bring another midfielder in to help you, because you need one more player. Because in that match, where is your spare player to play out? You're a midfielder. You always look for the spare player. They're not there, so drop them back. And he didn't. And then Fred then has got no options.
Well, it's his body shape again.
Exactly.
Comes straight. He's running straight at the ball again, isn't he?
But that's not his way. And as you see, as the game went on, now you see Eriksen. He's thinking, I need to help my players out, and this is why the false nine didn't work for him. He starts dropping in these areas, and then it causes a problem for Brighton. Do we go? If we don't go, then he's got the run of the mill. He can pass it here, more options. But there was no intensity with those passes, though, Matt. But you could see that he really did need to help Fred out, and working on his own. Again, Fred goes back to the single pivot. Yeah,
but again, he's coming to the ball. See, again, he comes to the ball, and again, he's not aware of what's around him. He's running straight at Harry Maguire. If I was Harry Maguire in this position, I'd be saying, go away, take him away. Leave me the space. I can come in and drive into midfield if I have to. There's no point in playing this ball 5 yards to Fred.
No, he should be in this position. Why? Because you break that line. That's where he should be, and also you're still giving him an option. But every time, that pass is ridiculous, because when you make a short pass, it's to move the opposition. Well, he hasn't moved the opposition.
No, not at all.
So you're right, it's a redundant pass, and it's a stat pass that's not needed.
Yeah, it's not moved Brighton's defence at all. Everyone's in shape.
But again, you see Eriksen coming into deeper. I know I need to help my teammates out. This is the right stuff, because just quickly going back, this is what exactly happened. It forced him to come out, but Eriksen, you've got to be better. You're better than that. You can pick passes better. You can play threaded balls through.
In fairness, in the previous move, Bruno Fernandes had made the run, didn't get the ball, and then he actually holds his hand up as an apology to Chris Eriksen. I didn't make the run on that occasion. And what about this one?
There's the press that you're on about, them, Matt.
They're waiting for it. Yeah. As soon as it goes short, can we go?
Exactly. And again, you need help in the build-up. And again, they're all on the same line as well. You're a midfielder, Matt, but surely you're meant to work on triangles.
Well,
and they're all on the same line.
And certainly if you're a midfield too, you work on angles.
Yeah.
One short, one long, but not in straight lines. So they're one short, one slightly further up the field, but they're in a straight line.
Yeah.
Ideally, you'd have... there's no way you can get the ball there, Fred, anyway. It's blocked off. But one player here and one player here. So you're working on that angle, but one's shorter and one's longer. Just trying to stretch that midfield opposition that you're playing against.
I think as well, even in the build-up phase, why you would have dropped that midfielder down is in these situations when you give it away, you're also in a better position to defend.
Yeah.
And it was about confidence for Man United, and it wasn't working, and I felt they really needed help numbers-wise, and it was too late.
He talked about that, didn't he, Eric Ten Hag, that he needs confident players, the mentality to play at Old Trafford, the real pressure of playing at Old Trafford.
Yeah, I mean, so I think someone said yesterday that when they were second and had that good run, it was in when there was no fans there. You know, the fans are back and they were under pressure, but they need help, and I don't think this is a manager's fault. He's been dealt with a tough set of cards.
Often when we talk about Man United getting beat, we look at the deficiencies of the United team, but what about the opposition? Brighton in possession of the ball, how good were they?
Just outstanding. They literally were everything that you wanted to be. Well coached, well drilled, showed good technical ability, physicality, and we spoke about Caicedo. I think if he was in a Man United team, the score might be a little bit different. He's that outstanding.
They were linked to United about 18 months ago, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant, but even in this, they don't really get... What I like about Caicedo in this is he doesn't get carried away and he doesn't go and run into areas.
Yeah.
Because if he did that, this pass wouldn't have happened.
Well, this was actually the big difference in the two teams. We talked about Christian Eriksen being a false nine, kept coming to the ball. What about Brighton? They had a centre forward who stretched it, didn't they? Was always looking, Danny Welbeck, to get in behind and in between defenders as well. Made a great run off Martinez, in behind Harry Maguire, who never ever opens his body up, doesn't see him.
No.
And Danny Welbeck caused United all sorts of problems by making those runs.
It's a new partnership as well, Matt, between, you know, Martinez and Harry Maguire, but you're right. But look at the numbers as well.
Yeah.
You know, they're not afraid to commit numbers into the box, Brighton. That's a terrible one by me.
1, 2, 3. Where are we? Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Virtually on the edge of the box. One on the edge of the box and 4 inside it.
But the defensive structure as well is really good behind the ball. Really good. And
They've still got 5 back as well.
Exactly. So, you know, both in defence and in attack, Brighton had good numbers, good positions.
Yeah. There's a tap in at the far post for Pascal Gross. And what about this one? This is the second goal. This is brilliant, isn't it?
Well, this one, I know it's about Brighton and we will talk about it, but I can't hide the fact that I'm infuriated by Man United because in this situation here, you're exactly the same as what Brighton were when they were defending against you. You're player for player and you do not let anybody out in this situation. But credit to Brighton, shocking defending from United. They get out and then it's about numbers, pace, desire.
Well, there's decisions to make, isn't there? I mean, if we stop it again and we keep highlighting him, but Fred, he's made a decision to go to the ball. Can he stop it? But by doing that, he's caused Man United a real problem now because that's the position he's left, and he's left 2 Brighton players the wrong side of him. He actually works incredibly hard to get himself back in. If we watch Fred's work rate to get himself back into a shape, he does it superbly as Brighton counter. So here they go, and if I just stopped it there now, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 against 1, 2, 3 Man United defenders. So it's 4v3 just by Fred vacating that central midfield position. You see his work rate. He's driven himself. He's back into the box as the play continues. And I'll just again talk about his body shape and not knowing what's around him. If I just highlight him, he never ever has a look behind him. He never ever is aware of what's around him. Brighton come inside, they get the shot away. David De Gea might do better. But Fred, after working so hard, he's run 70 yards to get himself back into there and he got himself into a great position, makes the mistake. But great play from left back to scoring for Brighton. It's
the ideal goal, and I felt Brighton toyed with them the whole game, just passing and moving, good structure again, bouncing, finding little pocket spaces. Man United nowhere near them.
This is what Eric Ten Hag was hoping for from his Man United team, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly what they are, and you know, spreading. They've got players that want in the ball. You've got centrally in between the 2 centre halves, a pocket player, width, maximum width. But then you still got the defensive structure behind him, pretty much like a diamond, but protecting it. They were absolutely brilliant, and you know, unlucky with that. But they toyed with Manchester United, and the manager did brilliantly.
What did you think about Man United before the season started? Where did you think they could potentially finish this year?
Well, I thought they were 35 points off top spot. And I think there was about, was it 11 or 12 difference between Arsenal?
And they might have been 14 points
might
off
have
the
been
Champions
more.
League, something like that, yeah.
So they're already behind the race and everyone else recruited. So I thought everyone's expectations of top four
were too high.
Too high for me.
Well, let's look at the stats from the game, because we talked about Erik ten Hag wanting to dominate the ball, dominate possession, and often we see Brighton have more than 50% of the ball. But actually, Brighton only had 37% of it. Man United had 63% of the ball, completed more passes. Final third entries really interest me, because United, for all that play, 63% of the ball, only had 62 final third entries. Brighton had 68. And also the next two as well, passes completed between the lines. United only 9, Brighton 24. And actually, Brighton's chances that they created were better than Man United's. Their expected goals were better.
It's just quality versus quantity. You know, it's about picking your right moments, doing the right things when you're in the right areas, and you can have all the, you know, that pass from Maguire to Fred was classed as a pass, but it didn't go anywhere. But what Brighton did was they did something with their passes and made something happen, and especially in the final third.
Do you expect it to change quickly? I mean, he's had pre-season. We all thought it was quite a positive pre-season. They thrashed Liverpool in one of the pre-season games by 4-0, and we thought it was going to be a positive start to the season. It hasn't turned out that way. Do you have the belief in Erik ten Hag to be able to change the way United play? Because he's clearly trying to.
I really do. I think it's way too early, and you have to give managers time. And the most successful teams have structure and stability within their recruitment and their managers and players. So I think he knows what he's got to do. I think it was a realisation walking off. We are miles after where I thought we were going to be, but he just needs more defensive structure to give confidence back to this side.
Yeah, and Brighton continuing the good work as well from last season. Finished 9th last season. Great again. Old Trafford as